I'm joined today by former National Hunt jockey turned race commentator in Sweden, Annette Lennon, to discuss her racing story. I suppose, Annette, to start off, a bit about your background, kind of how you first got into racing.
It all started as a 12-year-old. I was at Pony Club camp in Donald Swan's place in Madrini. We were the Ormond Hunt and Pony Club camp. And a girl fell off a little black scrawny stallion, which I thought was Black Beauty, and managed to catch it, get it into a corner, got my friends to help me, jump on her, and took the longest way back I possibly could to Donald Swan so I could enjoy the moment. And I had my feet in her leathers, because she was riding way too long for me. And so I rode down, and Donald goes, "Good God, do you think you could do that again?" And I was just, I was in heaven. So off I went and did the whole round of the gallop field. And apparently Sasetta was a maniac. And anyway, I got on great with her. And he told Natasha, my friend, his daughter, "Get that girl. We need her in the yard." So that's how I started riding racehorses at 12. And then I had my first winner on Sasetta when I was 17. I had just finished school. And so Bursicane I lived in, and my parents were nothing to do with horses. I loved them from the minute I was born. And the Larkins in Bursicane were a family. He was a vet, Bill Larkin. He just passed away recently. And his wife Ethna was a rider, and I got in there very quickly. And it was due to them. I was in Pony Club camp, and I got to meet Donald. And then I was an amateur for Donald for years. And during all that time, we had Swedes, an awful lot of Swedish girls, and even a few guys working for us, and a couple of Norwegians. And then one of the girls, she didn't get on very well over here, put it that way, in Ireland. And she went back home and she won so many races. And I was having a fierce hard time to get rides, never mind win races. So I just thought, jeepers, maybe it's time I went over there. And then I was riding a wonderful horse called Queen's Servant. My godfather owned it. He owned a part of it, Tim Lonergan, and trained by Pat Rooney. And I had won a couple of steeplechases on him. And it was usually on a Saturday on TV. So he was getting me kind of noticed a wee bit anyway. And then he broke his leg in a race. And that was it. That was the straw. And I just thought, I'm out of here. I can't handle this crap anymore. So I was really having a hard time. And I mean, it is 40 years ago. Ireland was a different place for a girl. And, so.
I was just going to ask you that. Was it obviously now there's a lot more lady riders. Back then it must have been very difficult to kind of try and break through.
Hugely difficult. And I didn't have a big say. I mean, Donald did what he could. Pat Rooney did what he could. I had a little merry band of followers that gave me every chance they could, but they were all very small, had only small, a couple of horses, that kind of stuff. And it was always, I'll give you one good example. I think this is for true. There was I can't remember who it was now, and I wouldn't have said it anyway, but trainer had a couple of horses in a race, and I could do 9-7, claim 7, straight out of bed. I was small and I was light, very fit. And I phoned this gentleman and I just said to him, I said, "Hello, Annette Lennon here. I see you have 2 horses here running, la, la, la. Could you give me a ride? And one of them I can claim 7 and I can do 9 stone easy." And he goes, "Hello, hang on. Are you a lady?" And I thought, this is a trick question. So I said, "Well, I think my mother would love if I was." So I just said, "I'm trying." And he goes, "Listen here now. There's one lady in this house and that's enough. So goodbye." And he hung up on me.
So you went to Sweden then, just kind of searching for more opportunities?
Yeah, that was what I was up against in those days. Yeah. So then I went to Norway actually, and I started to ride on the flat as well as over jumps. Jumping was very competitive, but quite small. And I used to supplement by riding on the flat as well. Bit heavy for the flat, but I could do like 54 kilos with a stretch. And I had a great life. I had a really great life. It wasn't as successful as I would have wanted, but I rode winners and I had a good time, and I traveled around Scandinavia and I got a lot of experience. And then it just got too much between weight. I wasn't doing well enough and I wasn't good enough, and certainly not on the flat. So I just thought, well, business was taking over, and that was that. So then I went into business. Thank God my parents did not let me leave school, which I wanted at 12, and a very headstrong 12-year-old, I can assure you I was. But they somehow, they didn't put their foot down. They just somehow managed to persuade me to stay in school. So I did. And that's like, thank you. So did things. I went to university later in life and things like that. So, I had a good old time, and I traveled a lot. Lived in Australia for 3 years with a business I was running over there, and was in Dubai working not with horses, with a business there. Hated it. And then came back to Sweden, got very badly injured riding out, and that put paid to a lot of things. And then all of a sudden, I was didn't know really what am I going to do now with the second part of my life. And 15 years ago, I saw an ad, and it was English, mother tongue, knowledge of horses and betting, which I didn't, and commentary. And no prior experience necessary, but it would be nice if you had some. So I marched in there anyway. I got an interview, and they did a voice test on me, and they liked me, and then they brought me back for a second one. And they asked me, had you ever commentated a race? And I said I did once, and in Ireland. And they go, oh really? That's great. And I didn't tell them that it was at a hunt ball. Standing on a table in a long dress with a microphone, and 3 of the lads were jumping over bodies on the floor, and I was like, "Oh, on the outside." That was my racing experience. That was my racing commentary experience. But as I said, they didn't ask the detail, and I didn't offer. So anyway, I got that job, and and apparently they told me anyway after a while that I was the first woman professional commentator in the world. I was the first female professional jump jockey in Ireland. So I've broken a couple of records. Mind you, there was another girl at the same time as me called Maria Cullen, and she turned professional, but she promised her mother she'd never ride over fences because her mother would kill her. And so who'd kill you first, riding over fences or your mother? So she did take out a license around the same time as me. I took out a full one. I rode over fences. I mostly rode over fences, and people thought we were mad to do it.
Yeah, you've kind of chosen two very difficult career paths, I'd say. Firstly, national hunt jockey, and then into commentary. I mean, for me, that seems like a really, really difficult thing to get into. What do you think is the toughest thing in that job?
I'm lucky I have a deep voice, as in, I don't raise it when I get excited, and when it's, I shout rather than scream. So that was a big help. I think the fact that I see things they don't see. I see things that before they happen, because I was a jockey. So when I see the gap closing and I go, and I'm not scared to call the favourites gone. Most commentators are, well, I won't say most because a lot of them are so brilliant, but I will say it's gone. Sometimes I really have my butt on the line. But, I see it, I see the gaps close, and I see he's going to go for it, she's going to go for it. And I just go, no room at the inn there. And I say all of this in commentary. So I can commentate a race like I was riding.
It kind of comes naturally to you. So just the reading a race.
Everything. I mean, and I'm really one of those lucky people that works with, that works with eyes. So, I mean, what I see, I mean, I don't have to think. I don't hesitate. It just comes out. It's like, I can be horrible as well. It's like monkey see, monkey do. And so I find that very, very easy to see. The only thing with me at the moment is we do so much. We have so much work, and we have, which I'm not complaining about on that front, but, you run from one race, they cross the line, change track. And now I'm doing my own production as well. So you're doing replays, and you're trying to press buttons, you're trying to commentate, you're trying to tip. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty intensive, but the more pressure I'm under, the more I actually thrive. And like when I'm doing a race day, when I'm only doing the races, I have to go running. I have to run around, I have to meet people. I have to go, talk to me, keep, I have to, my energy level starts to, I'm so energetic, so that if I've got too much time between a race, I don't know what to do with myself. So I start to fall asleep. And so then I'm trying to wake up again for the next race. So and so on a day like that, when I do live commentary at a racetrack, I have to go out to the crowd and buzz myself around. They all go, "Why don't you take it easy?" I said, "I am. This is me taking it easy." So I run around, jump, and then come back and I'm buzzing again, and then it's great.
I'm just going to ask, how much does racing in Sweden differ to kind of what we're kind of used to here in Ireland?
Well, jumping is gone, you could nearly say, and they've stopped betting on it now as well. So in my day, it was seriously vibrant, and to get a ride like in the Grand National, in the Swedish Grand National, to get rides in those big races, you fought tooth and nail to get there. Now it's nearly all amateurs, and nobody's buying horses for jumping anymore because they don't know what's going to happen. Now they've taken away betting because they say it's dangerous.
So it's kind of a public backlash to the national hunt scene.
No, not really. It was all done behind closed doors, and very few people had a say in it. So I think they just wanted to get rid of it. They didn't want it anymore. And the flat, they're buying more and more. I mean, the quality of the flat racing, especially in the group races and the listed races, is very high. You have the likes of Archie Watson, Holly Doyle coming over with Outbucks, I think it's Outbucks, and he can't win a Stockholm Cup. He's been second now 3 times. And our horses that are beating him, they're all Irish bred, English bred, French bred. Majority, I think I did a thing for the Irish embassy over here on, the horses from Ireland to Sweden and things like that. And I think 75% of the imports to Sweden are from Ireland. And we got like from Zoffany's. Zoffany's very big here. So was Master Craftsman. So the breeding is excellent. Then they also bring in some American blood as well. Some of the more prominent trainers, they bring in a lot of the American blood, because Borough Park, the new track, is a proper American dirt racetrack. And there's grass and dirt, but the dirt there is real. Rotten kickback. It's real American dirt. Whereas Jägersro, that's only dirt, and horses from England and Ireland that run in all weather and grass suit Jägersro's track. Then you got Gothenburg, which is only grass, and that's seasonal. And then we had Strömsholm, and that's a brilliant Grand National. There is fabulous. I mean, it's a really, really worth going to. So that's probably going to be gone. This is probably the last year this year. I'd say it's gone after that. I'm not sure, but I can hear the death knell. But the racing, no stick.
No stick, yeah. That's kind of you've noticed that in the finishes. Is it a recent rule, or is it? Has it been there for a while?
A year and a half or 2 years ago, I think. We were allowed 3 smacks. In my day, it was unlimited when I first started. Then you went down to 8. Then we went down to 3. And they've always had this thing. They always wanted to be the first with this. They said I think there's people there that want to go to their grave and go, I did that, and be famous.
And how do you think it's actually affected the racing? Has it? I mean,
it's absolutely. I was totally anti, and I got actually knocked over the knuckles by our boss in our studio in the Canal Quitty Femme, where I work for. He came charging into me the first day of racing after the rules changed, and I said, "What a load of crap." I said, they don't know what they're talking about. We had perfect rules, 3 smacks, that's it. And I said, why fix something that's not broken? I was furious. And he comes in, you can't be like this. And I said, well, you pay me to be an expert. That's my expert opinion. So we had a bit of a ding-dong about that. But it turns out now, I've interviewed a few of the trainers that I've ridden for a lot over the years, and they think that they've got the key to how to do this. The jockeys are so fit. There's none of this, you can't sit down and whack a horse. That's gone. And they're so they come up with they've come up with everything you can think of. You can't even slap a horse down the shoulder. That's called.
Do they carry for safety? Do they carry the stick?
You can carry a stick, and then you'll get brained if you have to prove like that you were going to die if you hit a horse.
Yeah.
But in Norway, when I came in '88, they had these little baby bats, I call them, little tiny sticks. You were allowed to slap. You can never take your hands off the reins, but you could slap it down the shoulder. But then, of course, we all started getting extra long reins, and you could slap it. You come up with everything you can think of. Then we came up with these Norwegian blinkers, which is in trotting, and you can start with them open, and then you pull a string and they drop down. And Kieran Fallon, he was still riding, and he was riding one of Niels Pettersson's horses in Dubai called Bank of Burden, and then he rode against him. He said he was a dog. Nice word. That was, there were nicer words than that. He said that he was an absolute dog. And then he came out, rode against him in the Stockholm Cup, and Bank of Burden won with these flexi blinkers on. And he thought, Kieran thought it was the greatest thing he ever saw in his life. And that's, but they took that away because they said it was dangerous for a jockey to take the hand off and pull a string. And I go, what about when a jockey pulls the stick through? Then they took the stick away. So, it's difficult for the boys. Gavin Sheehan phoned me last year when he was coming over to ride in the hurdle race on Stockholm Cup Day, and he said to me, no stick, and I just said, no stick, no waving. I said, only if you win, and you can wave at the crowd. No stick. And he goes, shit, I said, yeah, I hope you're fit. I said, I hope you've got going forward. And so he won anyway, and he didn't need the stick. But it is different for them, and they have to remember. So a lot of our boys, specifically the lads, don't, on certain horses, they don't carry a stick because they're so scared that, just out of pure, natural, they just go smack down the shoulder. I mean, with the hands on the rein, they might just smack it down the shoulder. That's it, gone.
Yeah, big change for jockeys, I suppose. But look, thanks very much, Annette, for all of your insight into Swedish racing. But kind of before you finish, I just wanted to ask you if you were going to maybe advise a racing fan from over here to visit Sweden and visit one track or one meeting, what would it be? Gärdet.
Mind you, okay, can I just clarify that? Gärdet is once a year. It's one track in the middle of Stockholm. And they only have it once a year, 1 day and 5 races. That's it. And there's about 50,000 people there. It's free. You sit on a hill, drink champagne or whatever you drink, and have fun. There's music, but the only thing is the racing's not great, as in the quality of the horses aren't great. But it is absolutely, it's a buzz. It's brilliant. If you wanted to go for the real feeling of, I think, Jägersro's Derby. Stockholm Cup Day is brilliant, but the crowds aren't great anymore because of Bro Park. It's too far away from Stockholm. Jägersro is buzzing for the Derby, which is now on Sunday.
A few for the bucket list there, so for some Irish racing fans, hopefully. But Annette, thanks very much again for all your insight. It was fantastic to speak with you and hear all your stories of your life in Ireland and now in Sweden. But hope everyone enjoyed the show. We'll be back again in 2 weeks' time with another My Racing story.